happy Thursday. Wednesday.
Yeah, Thursday.
So glad that you're joining us here for Featured Femme. We have Miss Whitney Warne with us today. Whitney's been involved for a long time.
Just a little while now.
Just an OG. So we thought we'd just spend some time talking about how she got connected with FemCity, because there's so many of people who join this group who've never been involved before. Like, I think you share a really good perspective of how you got involved, how it helped you grow your photography business, how we met as friends too and started a business together. It's really cool to see just the amazing connections and collaborations we've created. So, do you want to tell us a little about you?
Yes. So, Whitney Warne, I own Ivory House Photography, and I'm co-founder of Brand Launch with this gal right here. I have been a member of FemCity since, I think it's been about 3 years now. It was January.
Around 3 years.
When was your start? Whenever that was, it was the month after that.
Yeah.
So then.
2 years ago, maybe.
2 years ago? Okay, we'll move past that date. It's been a long time. And FemCity was at the foundation of my business. I think I'd been running my business for about a year after, and that was my first FemCity meeting. And I remember, I don't know who told me about it or how I even ended up at the luncheon, but I remember that Christina Davis was speaking about first impressions.
Awesome.
And it was amazing. And I sat at a table. I think Kelsey Russell was at my table, Sarah Madden. There were just a few people that I still talk to all the time today, some really close friends that were at that very beginning table.
Yeah.
And Christina Davis is one of what we work with her a ton, one of our bestie gals. And just, that was my first introduction, and I was hooked.
Yeah, and you kept coming back. So talk about some of the collaborations that may have come from those relationships or the ones you have now.
I mean, that's endless, guys. So I remember sitting in the luncheon and watching Christina speak and thinking, she is my ideal client. I told her this story, so this is going to shock nobody. But I'm a big fan of visualizing your ideal client. What do they look like? How do they speak? What do they value? And I saw her standing right in front of me, and I was like, I'm going to do everything in my power, everything in my intention to bring this woman into my world and for her to reach out to me to do her photos. And I think it was 4 or 5 months later, I kept showing up at things, I kept doing the work. Christina is now one of my most loyal clients. I photograph her and her family all the time. I love working with them. So that's just a really simple, saw someone that I really admired, saw her energy, wanted to bring that into my circle, into my business, and set some intentions and did that. The other thing that was happening at that very first luncheon was I was doing my very first round of $100 headshots. Yeah. Cool. And I didn't have anybody booked for it before I showed up to that luncheon.
Okay.
And when I went to shoot them, I did 10 $100 headshots my first year.
Yeah,
10. I will have done 100 of those this year, and I could probably do more if I opened up more slots, but my body says no. So that in and of itself, so the first year, and it was mostly femmes showing up to do that, mostly femmes that I had met at that very first luncheon.
That's really cool.
And I remember Becca walking, Dr. Becca, who's my chiropractor. I've been seeing her I feel like I've been seeing her for 3 years, so I don't know. I don't know it's been a while. Maybe it's 2 years. I'm gonna go back and look at this calendar. She'll know better than me when she started things. And then, you and I.
Yeah.
You and
our story. Yeah, I think it's a fun example just because, we had met at that event and just had connected. A lot of times femmes meet and then they get together after events and get to know each other, and we just realized a lot of our core values were in alignment, and long story short, ended up starting a business together called Brand Launch. We're in our space right now. Our core values are there. So it's just, that was so cool. I don't know how or if we would have met any other way, and I know there's so many stories about women who are really close friends or just loyal clients to one another, and it was through this community. And so I think one of the big things that I come in conversation with a lot of new people, and they're like, well, what do I do now that I'm here and I'm new? And you say the same thing to people of show up at events and show up in this space, right? This is happening in FemCity Des Moines, and this Facebook group has thousands of people in there. And so if you can offer value to this community, it's not about spamming the group with what upcoming promo you have or anything like that. It's saying, hey, how do I add value to your life? Or here's a really cool article that you love. So I think that you've really embodied that, and I don't know if you have any examples of anything like that would have
posting in the group, or just how I mean, for me, showing up in general for the people of the Femmes, a ton of the Femmes have become my clients and vice versa. I mean, that's where I go first to look for people to support and for people to support me. And I think people think about showing up as this like big elusive thing. For me, it's literally bringing my presence and my positivity, being willing to walk up to new people that I haven't spoken to, stretch out my hand, say hello, learn what they're doing. I think it's a big thing it's a huge opportunity to show up at Coffee Connections or any networking event, and I try to never just stand and talk to the people that I know super well. That's really comfortable. You and I could stand there and talk to each other the whole time and get into our little tunnel vision, and it would be easy. It's harder to go and stick your hand out to somebody. It takes more energy, and really coming with, I knew that I needed to come with a lot of energy to this space because there's a lot of people to impact. And the more people to impact, the more you have to bring to the table. So
that's why we have coffee at our
that's why we have
some events. Okay, so talk about Ivory House Photography. When did you start that?
Yes.
Was that 3 years ago? Is this?
No, this must be it. Okay, so I'm in 3.5 years, so you obviously are 100% correct that FemCity's been in my life for like 2 years, but it feels like the entirety. And I moved back to Des Moines 3.5 years ago, specifically to start Ivory House Photography. So what a lot of people don't know about me is that I didn't just come out of nowhere. I think the perception here, because they didn't see all the other stuff, is that I started a business, it grew really fast, and like it just happened. The backside of that is that I worked for 2 other photographers before this happened. I managed somebody's studio when I was in college, and I managed somebody's studio right after grad school. And so, and I went to school for photography twice. So I spent 4 years supporting another female business owner as she grew her very successful business. That's my other bestie, Natalie. You guys have probably seen some of her as well because she lives in Rochester, but she's right here with us. But I got the opportunity with her to see what it looked like to really engage, and she gave me a lot of creative freedom. And then when I landed here, I knew what I wanted, but I think the other thing that happened was what I thought I wanted from my business is not what I do now. It's not what I love now. I thought I was going to be a wedding photographer. I don't really do that. I do a couple of those, sure, but that's not my focus. I love working with individuals. Like this afternoon, I'm photographing 15 people for my Unapologetically Extra sessions.
What's that?
Oh, what is that? So in the evolution of my business, I found that I loved photographing individuals, and that's a space that I could not only succeed but exceed expectations, and it like fit me so well. But what I was finding with these sessions is people would come in, we'd have their professional headshots, and then they were like, I want to do this again, but cost prohibitive, time prohibitive, they're prohibitive things. And so one day I was like, I get to have all these fun photos taken of myself all the time. Why can't you guys? And there's so many reasons that I hear people holding back from not having their photo taken. There's a lot of physical reasons, there's a lot of worthiness reasons, there's a lot of time reasons that we make up. But when people meet me, they generally just dump out all of the reasons why they don't think that they should be photographed or seen. And it is my mission in my life to know that everyone is worthy of being seen. And so I create space for that every single month. We go to a different location around Des Moines. It is not a headshot session. You show up and look fabulous. You like embody your most extra self, and we do that.
So you're going to the Bridge, Women of Achievement Bridge?
Women of Achievement Bridge today.
So fitting for this.
Yes, so fitting. It's gonna be great.
So you do them monthly?
I do them every single month. 3 hours of time. It is the most fun.
And it's really like, it's quick. Like I think a lot of people think like, oh, I'm doing a photo session, and it's like this hour-long thing where you're like, sit up, but like it's fun, it's fast, it's like it's really high energy, like you are so happy, and like the wind is blowing in your hair, you're just so gorgeous.
Definitely on the bridge, there'll be a lot of wind today, guys.
Well, be prepared if you're one of them, but I think that's just a fun way to give people just a spotlight for a minute and to be like, you're amazing, like let's capture it and like embrace it, because we're all different, we all show up differently.
And that idea didn't come out of nowhere either. I mean, I had worked on trying to build a mini session model for a couple of years before this actually worked.
Got it.
And what I found, and they were fine, but they weren't thriving.
Yeah.
Unapologetically Extra sells out every single month. It is shocking if I have a spot left over. And I love that. And what I realized to all you femmes building a business out there is that, yes, I have a product, but the product is photography, but that's not a good enough reason to engage. I have worked really hard at giving people a reason to show up for themselves, at leading by example, even when I don't always want to. Leading by example for me means showing up in front of the camera a lot more than I would probably ever do. And normally.
Yeah.
And that means just like sometimes I've said very frequently, like with Wednesdays with Whitney and Unapologetically Extra, it has dismantled every bit of vanity that I possibly had, but it also has like boosted my self-confidence in a way I never could have predicted.
Yeah, and I think like it's been a really cool way to see people in different elements online, because what we've realized and how we connected was this idea of personal brand and like how do you show up online, because people do business with people. I mean, we've known that and believed that for a long time, and so we just were like, how do we show up visually? How do we show up with our words? How do we show up with our presence and our energy? Because it all matters. It's people are making decisions about us every single second. And so what we came together and said is like, how do we teach people how to do this? Because while both of us, have had different paths to finding our success and our entrepreneurial adventures, we both come down to this core, like, what is it? What happened that led to this? And we both come to the idea of personal brand and investing in ourselves so much that we know how to show up for this space and other people in our community. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about how that evolved too, because I think that's such a, like, here's the photo side of it, but it just like speaks so much more to the story.
So when Emily and I started collaborating through Brand Launch, our two big focuses were personal branding and community. And you can see that in what we offer. We're currently, exciting guys, this will happen soon, but we're creating personal branding education around all of this, so it's more formalized rather than just small workshops every once in a while. I mean, you've witnessed obviously the DSM hummingbirds that are just flying all over Des Moines. But when I moved back, I didn't have any money, like none. I reached a point where there was $15 in my bank account and I had a lot of choices to make. Fortunately, I was living with my mother, so I just had to fill my gas tank, and there was one time where I was like, I don't think I can fill it all the way full. But I knew that it's not like I could afford advertising, and social media is free. And I knew that showing up places was free. And so I put everything into that. And even now, so for me, when I think about personal branding, I think about where do I show up? And who is going to be surrounding me when I show up. So those are conscious choices. Right. We both, we're humans. We have limited amount of energy, even though sometimes I pretend otherwise. And so I want to be really intentional. So showing up for FemCity was a very intentional choice I made. And then showing up online, it's like, okay, what do I want people to know about me? Because there takes a certain amount of vulnerability to do that. And I want people to know that working hard is important. I want people to know when I maybe have failed. Sometimes I post really embarrassing photos of myself just to balance out all of the, I am a human. Wow. I talk about my family. I love sharing about my clients in a really impactful way. I love sharing the events that I go to and building up those spaces. And so when we've been talking about, well, what creates a really full personal brand experience, we talk about making impact posts. So those are for us, like, what do we believe and what do we want to share with you to create conversation?
Yeah, and just to show like the level of humanness we all have. I think there's such a facade on social media too, where it's like, I'm growing my business, it's awesome, where like inside you might be actually dying a little. Like maybe you do have $15 in your bank account, but like you want people to perceive it differently, where your community will come around you even more if you can share an honest experience of the space you're in right now. And it doesn't have to be like a Debbie Downer post, right? It can be about, hey, this is where I'm at, this is where I'm going, this is what is getting me there, like thanks to my crew. I always see that too in FemCity, like the posts that are the most engaged with in this little space here is like when people say like, oh my gosh, I got together with Christina, she's watching right now. I got together with Christina and she's amazing, she taught me so much about Zumba and like the work she does in the community, and I'm so, say hi to Christina, like that says, I'm shining a spotlight on someone else. I don't care what attention I get for myself. And that makes you 100 times more credible than saying, hey, I did this thing the other day and it was really awesome. Yeah. Even though that's good to do too, but it's just different. So we're here together to just help build that, because I think so many people have gotten lost in the sense of like, I need to post every day on social media and content is king, but it's like, only if it's good, right? Like we want to relate to people.
Spontaneous.
Yeah.
Something she and I talk about all the time is, I have people sort of help me with my social media, but I write all that content almost daily. Like my social media is being created reflexively.
Yeah.
That means that every single day, my nose is on the grindstone thinking about what is happening immediately in my life, which is also why people respond so intimately to what I post, because it's current and they feel that. And I know there's a huge push to like hire somebody and like get it out there, which is great. Like if you hire someone like Emily, she's going to be diligent about that. But we talk a lot about, even if you have someone helping out in that area, the client still needs to be engaged.
Yeah.
You still have to be showing up. It still has to be like your voice. Like you can provide all the strategy and the systems and the infrastructure and the support.
Yeah.
But I know that anytime I show up with immediacy of what's happening is when I get the most response.
Yeah, and it's so cool because you build these connections with people that, I mean, they last so long, and like you can add that value back to them when they add that to you. So it's really powerful.
Yeah. I have people come up to me. I was at the DSM unveiling last night, 2 nights ago. I don't know what day it is, guys. Not a thing in my life. And I counted no less than 5 people that walked up to me and complimented me on my social media.
Yeah.
And so for me, and these aren't clients. Some of these people I have, I don't actually know that. And I love that. It means that something about what I'm putting out there is striking a nerve. And you know, I'm playing the long game.
Yep.
We're playing the long game. In both of the businesses that we're building, we're gonna be around for decades. So I am not concerned. I've never been concerned with like the sale or the quick fix or the like get in here now. My response to people is always like, whenever you're ready, because I will still be here.
I will be here.
I will be here. I will be waiting for you. Like the pressure is not on you. The pressure is on me to create the trust in our relationship, so that when you need me, you know I'm the first person you can call.
I love that. Yeah. We really care about this topic.
We do. We talk about it a lot.
If
Our Saturday morning chats are real fun.
Like, hey, you awake? We got stuff to talk about. But we do, kind of on that note, we do have a wait list happening for this course curriculum. If you are interested, we'll just drop a link below. We really think that we can impact people even broader than Des Moines with just an online course to help you really think through like how you're showing up, your core values, the things that are really going to help you make an impact, not only in business, like not as a business owner per se. You can leave a legacy of being an entrepreneur and a corporate gal, and you know, in that space too. And I think there's room for everyone to think about how you show up and what kind of doors it opens based on your energy and presence. So we'll drop that below. But anything else you want to share with friends about anything?
Yes there is. I would like to give a huge round of applause to you. Because Emily has been dedicating her life, and I have watched it, her life, her energy, her soul, her spirit to this group for 2 years.
I think that's
okay.
2.5, I think.
Coming around to that number for 2.5 years. And if it was not for you, I wouldn't have had this and so many other things in my life. I wouldn't have you in my life. I wouldn't have so many of the things that I have. And I know that there are hundreds of women out there who have you to thank for that. So yes. We're gonna like hell yes for Emily. And then hell yes for Erin, who's
oh no, we're not doing that yet. We have not announced that yet.
Never mind. Sorry. I don't know anything. I know nothing about anything that's happening. Sorry about that. We're gonna shut this off right now.
We love you all so much.
We love you all.
Goodbye.
Bye.